Shalom. First off, I want to give all honor, all glory, and all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rahak Wadash. Yahweh is the name of the Heavenly Father in the Hebrew. Yahweh Shai is the name of who the world calls Christ in the ancient biblical Hebrew that the Israelites spoke. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone GMS. Peace and salutations to the elect, beginning with the 144,000. And to all the Akim and Akwaf tuning in, may this lesson be edifying. This is the brother Halal from the Great Millstone Chicago branch. And this lesson is going to be about, the importance and the significance of obtaining, the wisdom and knowledge that's in these scriptures, man. And even the people of the world, and people in the world of entertainment and sports, even with the amount of riches that they have, due to carnality and, entertaining and appeasing the masses, even deep down, they understand the importance of these scriptures, and the wisdom that the scriptures contain and how it can be very much conducive to your life. So you got this NFL player by the name of Justin Fields. And this is a quote that he said. It said, "I am low-key addicted to getting into my Bible. I learn something new every day." And this is the attitude that we have to have, man. If the people of the world, if these athletes and these celebrities, if they take notice of the wisdom and the power that's in these scriptures, how much more us, being the men of Yahweh by Shemal Shai and laboring every single day to edify the elect in the body. How much more should these scriptures mean to us? And then over here, there's like a short video of him talking about how the scriptures are important to him.
I would say I just kind of got like this the past 6 months, to be honest with you.
So you said 6 months ago? What triggered that 6 months ago?
Yeah, I mean, me really getting closer to God, like I said, my relationship, me reading the Bible every day, and if I'm being real, there's some great lines, some great wisdom that I didn't even know of. So I'm low-key addicted to like getting in my Bible each and every day, just because I learn something new every day and I'm able to apply it in my everyday life. But I mean, I was sleeping on reading the Bible earlier in my life, and I wish I would have started earlier. So I encourage y'all to go read a little bit, start in Proverbs and move on from there. Would say
So he said that at first he was sleeping on the scriptures until he actually opened the book and read the scriptures, and now, he's saying that he's learning something new every day. And this is the same nature that we ought to have as men of Yahweh by Shemal Shai. We should be striving to learn something new every day, whether it be from these scriptures, whether it be from the news and prophecy. We're supposed to strive to obtain this wisdom and knowledge, man, because this is the most important thing. Serving the Lord is the duty of man. Understanding these scriptures is all a part of it, man. Getting closer to Yahweh by Shemal Shai. So I want to start this lesson off by going to the book of Sirach, chapter 6 and verse 18. And it says, "My son, gather instruction from thy youth up, so shalt thou find wisdom till thy own age." Right, we're supposed to be gathering instruction, from our youth, man. That's our custom. And, I don't know about, other camps, but here in the Chicago camp, we have I don't want to say a large number, but we have a pretty, hefty number of young men in the camp. Me being one of those men, in our youth, trying to learn, interpret these scriptures and learning from the elders above us, man. Salaki, it says, I want to read this over again. It says, "My son, gather instruction from thy youth up, so shalt thou find wisdom till thy old age." So we started laboring now, being young in life and young in the truth, in hopes of, having more wisdom by the time that we're old. Lord willing, we won't be here that much longer. We don't have much longer in Babylon the Great. But this is all a part of our custom. Gathering instruction from the youth up, learning from the elders and the men above us, learning from our fathers, our spiritual fathers, those who labored to interpret these scriptures. We're supposed to be constantly inquiring and gathering up wisdom. Even in our individual day-to-day lives, man. Reading these scriptures, watching videos, doing the precept of the day. All of these things are key, and we're not just doing this for no reason. We're doing this to increase in wisdom and faith, man, and to ultimately, get into the good graces of Yahweh Bashim Shai and ultimately obtain that mercy. Verse 19, come unto her as one that ploweth and soweth, and wait for the good fruits. For thou shalt not toil much in laboring about her, but thou shalt eat of her fruits right soon. So, it starts off as a slow process, like a man that's plowing, as a man that's planting seeds in the ground, for the purpose of a new plant to grow. The process is not going to happen overnight, but eventually, in due season, that plant is going to grow. Verse 20, she is very unpleasant to the unlearned, and the she is talking about wisdom. It says, he that is without understanding will not remain with her. She will lie upon him as a mighty stone of trial, and he will cast her from him ere it be long. So this wisdom, is very unpleasant to the unlearned. So if you're not learned in this thing, this wisdom is going to be unpleasant to you. And that's when you have these bug outs, these other camps that are coming up with these false breakdowns, saying that the MOTB is the image of JC, Cesare Borgia, saying that the MOTB is sleeping with the Edomite woman. This wisdom is unpleasant to the unlearned. Verse 21, she will lie upon him as a mighty stone of trial, and he will cast her from him ere it be long. For wisdom is according to her name, and she is not manifest unto many. So, us, as the men of Yahweh Bashim Shai, we are very much privileged to have this knowledge and wisdom. And the people of the world are taking notice of that. This NFL player, and he's not the only one. Many actors, celebrities, artists, and entertainers, people that are actually in the industry that is ran by Esau, Edom, by Amalek, even they understand the power that these scriptures hold, man. From there, let's go to the book of Proverbs, chapter 2, and I'll start at verse 1. It says, my son, if thou wilt conceive my words and hide my commandments with thee, so that thou incline thy ear unto wisdom and apply thine heart to understanding. Yea, if thou criest after knowledge and liftest up thy voice for understanding, if thou seekest her as silver and search for her as hidden treasures, then shalt thou understand the fear of the Lord and find the knowledge of the Most High. So we have to constantly, seek this wisdom. We have to lust after wisdom, not in a wicked sense of lust, like, lusting for another man's wife. That would be a form of an evil lust. But we have to lust for this knowledge from day to day. We have to have a righteous desire to obtain the wisdom and knowledge so we can learn how to conduct ourselves in our day-to-day lives and also, lead as an example to the brothers that come after us. Next I want to go to the book of Proverbs, chapter 4, and verse 1. It says, hear, ye children, the instruction of a father, and attend to no understanding. For I give you good doctrine, forsake ye not my law. Right, we've been given a good doctrine. We've been given the truth, the 100% unfiltered, raw, authentic truth, man. That is what we have been given, and we're privileged to have that. Verse 3, for I was my father's son, tender and only beloved in the sight of my mother. He taught me also and said unto me, let thine heart retain my words. Keep my commandments and live. Get wisdom, get understanding, forget it not, neither decline from the words of my mouth. Forsake her not, and she shall preserve thee. Love her, and she shall keep thee. So we're not supposed to, be slothful in serving Yahweh Bashim Shai. The scriptures literally say, matter of fact, Let's see. Put not off. This is the book of Sirach, chapter 5, and verse 7. It says, make no tarrying to turn to the Lord, and put not off from day to day. For suddenly shall the wrath of the Lord come forth, and in thy security thou shalt be destroyed and perish in the day of vengeance. So we can't put off the Lord from day to day. We can't go from day to day without reading scriptures, without putting out videos to edify the sheep, without, listening to the wise discourse of the elders. We have to constantly be, in this knowledge, man. Because when you slack, it's some things that you'll end up forgetting. And us being in this flesh, you tend to forget a lot of things, man. There's a lot of information that tends to not be retained being in this flesh when you abstain from reading for a long period of time. Therefore, you have to constantly read. Even if you read the entire scriptures from Genesis to Revelation, from front to back, you have to read it all over again, man. Continuously be engrafted in the doctrine in these scriptures. But going back to the book of Proverbs, chapter 4 and verse 6, it says, forsake her not, and she shall keep thee. Love her, and she shall keep thee. Salakia, forsake her not, and she shall preserve thee. Love her, and she shall keep thee. Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get understanding. So like I said earlier, this flesh, when you abstain from reading for a long period of time, you tend to forget certain scriptures and certain breakdowns, man. So we're supposed to constantly be in these scriptures, and with all the things that we read, we have to get understanding upon it. We can't just read a scripture and not know what the breakdown is, because these scriptures are filled with parables and riddles. That the righteous had to labor to understand. So with all of our getting, we have to constantly get understanding. So I'm going to end this off with the book of Isaiah, chapter 33 and verse 6. It says, in wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, and the strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord is his treasure. So this wisdom and this knowledge, we're not just obtaining this for no reason. In these evil times to come, the wisdom and knowledge that we've obtained from these scriptures, and also from, how to maneuver in life, from what we've learned from these elders on how to, move in Esau's system, how to have good credit, how to stack up money, how to save, even the worldly things that we learn, because we can't just, be laboring in the scriptures and not understand how to maneuver in Esau's world. The scriptures say use the word, not abuse it. So this world is for recreational use. So even in a carnal sense, we have to learn how to maneuver. But the most important thing is what? These scriptures. I want to read this one more time. And wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, in strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord is his treasure. And that's our treasure. The fear of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. Serving him and keeping all of his commandments, man. And hopefully, Lord willing, eventually coming to be joint heirs into the promise, man, if we are of the number and of the elect. So I hope this lesson was edifying. And with that, I want to give all honor, all glory, and all praise to Yahweh, Ba'Hashem Yahushai, Ba'Hashem Rachah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone GMS, Kwam Yasha'Allah, Wa Abad Babal. Until the next lesson.